Welcome back to Midnight Movie Club and my review of the Shudder original Hunted. Hunted was directed and co-written by Vincent Paranaud and also stars Lucie Debay, Ari Wartalter and Kieran O'Brien. The film follows Evie, a girl who is going through a bit of a hard time at work and in her love life, so she goes to blow off some steam by having a drink down at the local club. There, she meets a man who is perfectly charming and charismatic. One thing leads to another, they end up in a car together, and it turns out that he likes to make the odd snuff film. Him and his mate then kidnap her, and so sets off a chain of events that take them through mystical, seemingly supernatural forests and a battle to the death. And right off the bat, I have to say, I loved Hunted. I thought this was a great wee film, and sitting at 87 minutes, it's nice, lean, mean, and it gets the job done, but it gives you something fresh. This is a concept we've seen a million times before. Woman gets kidnapped, brutalised, something like that, and then exacts revenge on her attackers. But this was done in such a cool, different, clever, smart, artistic way, and not in a pretentious way or anything like that. I actually thought it was quite similar to Revenge, another film that I reviewed here on the channel. There is a lot of similarities, and even what I think was a little reference to when in Revenge the character falls off the cliff. There's something similar here in Hunted, and I wonder if that was a little nod Revenge's way. So if you liked Revenge, I think you'll like Hunted, as a lot of things could be paralleled and drawn between. But anyway, that's enough about Revenge. Let's keep talking about Hunted. If I do go off in tangents here or there, I'm pretty sorry. I really like this one and I want to discuss it even more. As I was saying, it gives us something fresh. There's this sort of supernatural element that's, is it there or is it not there? Are the characters just thinking this? We do really get into the character's psyche, and I'd say this is more a pseudo-revenge film. It's a psychological revenge survival thriller. That's the way I would put it anyway. And yeah, it really works. Like on paper, it just sounds like your bog standard revenge kind of survival movie. But no, this is a darkly comedic, fun, brutal romp through supernatural forests that ends up in a place that you just didn't really see coming. And it has real artistic value in there. Some beautiful shots, beautiful lighting, good music, yeah, good editing. Let's talk about it. So first up, camera work. What I want to go over first is they had these great kind of long drawn out shots, especially for the attackers and leading up to the attack and leading up to that inciting incident that kind of kicked the story into motion. And it was something that you would probably see from like an Ari Aster film, or any sort of A24 movie, something like that. It wasn't scared of taking its time and building tension through camera movement rather than dialogue or anything else. And the way that it builds up to Eve's eventual capture and what happens to her then after that was really good, and they built the tension really well, and it was just done in such a fresh sort of manner. And I have to really commend the director on this one and the cinematographer, as the attackers had this long, slow build up, kind of let you know what they were thinking, kind of helped you feel how they were feeling, how they were savouring this moment. But then when we're in on Eve, she's got this real frantic handheld sort of cinematography that follows her, and it puts us in her shoes of being super stressed out and just pure survival mode, and it makes you feel that anxiety. So yeah, there was a real nice stark contrast in there, but over the film, as power dynamics and character arcs and character dynamics change, so does the cinematography and who it matches. And I just thought that was a really cool contrast. I really like how they done that and brought it across visually instead of having to like spell it out to the audience, if you get what I mean. Next up, acting, and I have to say that acting across the board in this one was just fantastic from everyone involved. Even the little comedic characters that are placed here and there, they all done their jobs really well. Lucie Debay, who plays Eve, she showed great range because she's basically went from everyday life, stressed out, sad, down about work. She has her little funny moments. She has her super extreme, intense freak out moments, because this is just a totally nuts situation that hopefully no woman ever has to find herself in, because it is just very distressing. And then she sort of becomes this badass, capable warrior over the course of the film, and the range that she showed throughout that was just badass. That's really the way I can say it. It was a badass performance all round from her and from her co-actors. Ari Worthalter, I hope I'm saying that right, plays one of the attackers, and this guy stole the show, especially in the first act. He's so charismatic and nice. You want to have a drink with him, you want to have a chat with him, you want to have a laugh with him. He seems so genuine. And then all of a sudden, like, click of the finger, he's gone, he's snapped, he's this other person. It's insane, and it happens in the blink of an eye, all in one scene. And when it happens, you will be pretty shocked. Like, we all know who he is, when the movie starts. We know he's going to turn out to be bad. It's no secret. It's in the trailer. That's not a spoiler or anything like that. But how it happens and how fast it happens is crazy. And this guy does psychotic so well. I think he might be one of the best psychopaths in film, honestly. It gives any other ones that I can think of off the top of my head a run for their money. This guy steals the show with his performance. And yeah, the way the filmmakers allow us to get into his psyche, to hear what he's thinking a little bit and see kind of what he's seeing, was perfect. They put us in his boots a few times, and it's boots you don't want to be in. It's pretty evil boots. Even Kieran O'Brien, who kind of plays his little, weird sidekick who's not quite right up there, he just comes along for the ride, and he even says at one point that maybe they shouldn't be doing this, but then he's easily swayed the other way. Even he does really well, and he actually gave me a few laughs, probably not because of what he said, or just things that happened to him. Like I said, this movie does have quite a dark sense of humour, so if you like kind of dark comedy like myself, you probably will find yourself laughing when not too many other people would probably be laughing. But the way I was watching them, it was almost like Laurel and Hardy dynamic. It's like, what if Laurel and Hardy tried to make a snuff film and, brutalise a woman in the woods? This is how I would imagine it would go. Nothing goes right for them, and especially Andy, I believe his name was, especially for that character. I also want to touch on music a little bit as well, as I felt it just pretty much matched the tone of the film perfectly. And this is a film that actually goes through quite a lot of dips in tone and stuff like that. One minute we are having a little bit of a giggle, the next we're kind of shocked, and then the next we're just enjoying brutal action. And and also there's that mystical element of the forest as well. And I just felt that the music really captured that really well. It had these kind of long drawn out drones that really matched those long drawn out shots I was talking about earlier, the nice tracking shots, the nice landscape shots. Then the more upbeat, chimey stuff, that the strings and all that goes with more the Eve cinematography that I was talking about, especially in the first half of the film, and it's more frantic, gets the heartbeat going, all that kind of stuff. But then it has these sort of mystical chimes to it, nearing the midpoint and the end, where the more supernatural, mystical element of the forest comes into play. And it just really balanced them all really well. There was also a lot of slow-mo usage, and the music that they used during those moments was really good, and once again captured this sort of dark comedic tone, and but managed to capture the essence of the scene as well, and how desperate it was for the characters involved. The sound design, just while we're on music and sound and stuff like that, is very punchy. It makes the hard hits hit harder, if that makes sense. You will feel everything along with seeing it. What you do see, you don't see too much in this film. There's not too much blood and gore, but what there is really, really well done. A lot of this stuff just looks so painful and so sore that you can feel it, and the sound design really helps bring that across. It makes you disgusted, it makes you wince a little, and that's what you want from horror. You want it to elicit those sort of emotions, and you definitely get it here with Hunted. The dialogue for the most part was, like, as I said before in this review, and you'll probably see it again, darkly comedic. There's things in there. Characters talk like they should. Characters all talk different. And Eve, even though probably about 30 minutes into the film, she stops talking. You know, she doesn't have much to say because she's mostly alone, running for her life and fighting for her life. But just Debay's performance and like her facial expressions, she doesn't need to say anything. You know, we know what her motivations are and all that sort of stuff. And like her facial expressions are just so insane and batshit crazy that it's awesome. Like her performance is more through her face than through what she says. But where the dialogue shines is her attackers. And as I said, it was Ari's character that I think he's just credited as the handsome guy. Yeah, his character has some just pretty funny dialogue. I don't want to say anything, just go watch it and you'll get what I mean. And he's just weirdly charming and charismatic. And he's kind of like a weird uncle that just happens to be super twisted and makes snuff films, yeah. The pacing, for the most part, kind of slowly ramps up and builds to a pretty cool crescendo, in my opinion. But all throughout the film, it's really well paced. There's never a time where it dips so much that you're like, oh, let's get chugging along a bit more. You know, it gives you nice little bits of breaks. You're never too breathless. And like I said, when it is super action heavy, they can break it up with some slow-mo and some cool different shots that kind of transport you out of there. And yeah, so the pacing, you're not going to feel the runtime with this one. It's sitting at 87 minutes, it's not even that long, and it does fly by. Set design, most of this film takes place in the forest, but when we are in a set in a house, you know, somewhere, some location, most of it's on location, I think all of it's on location, it all looks great. And there's even one shot, I don't really want to spoil it, but there's like a painting, a picture, and it makes it look like you're somewhere else, not where they're actually at. You'll get what I mean if you've seen it, or if you go and watch it, you'll go, oh, that's the bit that he was talking about. And just little things like that, little attentions to detail like that, you can tell they've really put thought into every scene. They've really put a lot of thought into mise-en-scene, colours, colour grading, all that stuff. And while we're on colour, putting Eve in a red jacket with bleach blonde hair in this bleak environment, top notch. She stands out like a sore thumb while her attackers blend in, and it just makes her more vulnerable, but also makes for some really striking shots. And this shot here, I'll show it now, where she's got the blue in her face, just looks cool. The red, white and blue works so well, and it looks great in that forest setting with the greys, the browns of the bark and the greens of the leaves. It all just pops. Colour in this film is used very cleverly. It's very smart. I don't even know if cleverly is a word, to be honest, but they use it very well. It's very intentional, but never on the nose or annoying. It all works, and it all adds to the overall narrative of the film. Just some other things that I would like to cover in this review is the use of the animals throughout the film. I'm not going to say much about them. I like the way they use them, and if you watch it and you get the little mystical element to it, you'll see what I mean. Just the way they use the animals is cool. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say any more about it because this is a non-spoiler review. Like all my reviews are, I never really do spoiler reviews. It's more spoiler discussions, but they'll come in separate videos, separate from my reviews. I love the lore of the forest and the sort of backstory we got with it, but this is a double-edged sword, this bit. I think we could have done without the exposition dump at the beginning of the film. I'm really not a fan of these intros to films where we get this animation, you know, or something like that, and a commentary over it with a character explaining things to us. Never been a fan of them, don't like them, didn't like it here, was probably my biggest problem with the film. When I seen that at the start, I did roll my eyes a little bit, but thankfully, rest of the film made up for it. There was also some elements in the end that I thought, oh, this could go this way, this could go that way, holy shit, this could be then connecting to that, but all that sort of stuff. And I started to almost probably overthink it, but I think it would have been cool, and I think they could have maybe added a little bit more at the end, just a few more minutes, just to tie one thing into another. and that's something I could go over in a spoiler discussion. I'm not going to say it here because it would probably ruin too much. But yeah, there was one thing I wanted them to expand upon and kind of link back to one another. They nodded to it. It was definitely there. It was noticeable. But not too much to the point where they explained it or anything like that. It was just kind of a little bit of commentary in the background, but I could have done with a little more commentary, and I think they could have smashed out the park perfectly if they just done this one thing. But I'm not going to say it because of spoilers. Maybe ask me in the comments and I'll let you know with some spoiler tags, so watch out down there. One thing as well that I really loved about the film is how incompetent everyone was, and it just made it super fun. And yeah, so if you want to see a bunch of incompetent people run about the forest trying to murder one another, check out Hunted. Overall, Hunted is a fun, brutal ride through a slightly mystical forest with very enjoyable and very satisfying and funny action. It's very visceral, it's very just powerful, badass. I recommend this one. If you've got Shudder, go watch it. So, with all that said and done, I am going to give Hunted a 4 out of 5 rating. If you've seen the film, let me know what you made of it in the comment section down below. Also, if you haven't seen the film, then let me know in the comments if you're going to go watch it now because of this review, and also come back to let me know what you made of it and see if you liked it, like myself. If you didn't, let's have a discussion. What didn't you like? You know, every comment is welcome here. It's Midnight Movie Club, man. We're a club, so let's have a chat about movies that we can watch at midnight and be, you know, obsessive about, because that's fun. But that's all I've got for you for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do leave a like. And if you haven't already, then subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Good night.